Hello, everybody, and welcome to this segment called Quietly Ballin'. Welcome back, Noah. We're going to talk a little bit today about the breaking news that came out this morning about the starting role with the Dallas Mavericks. Javale McGee starting over Christian Wood, being guaranteed a contract to start with the Dallas Mavericks. Noah, let's hear your thoughts.
When I saw the first tweets and all the articles were coming out and all that, my initial thoughts were why? I think every fan, maybe even every Dallas fan was just, wait, what? Kind of a question mark in their head. And, I think that's everyone's first initial reaction. But once I gave it some time and really started digging into it, I really understood what was kind of the decision-making factors in that. And also Coach Kidd released a statement saying that JaVale would be the starter, and that was discussed when they were talking about their 3-year contract that he signed during the free agency period. So it just comes down to business, if you will. And I really think it came down to a decision internally with Coach Kidd and probably Mark Cuban with both McGee and Wood, so that they would both see the vision. Obviously, every team's eyes are on the NBA championship, the NBA finals. It's what every team wants, right? And I'm sure that was the entire decision-making factor that kind of led to the decision of this.
Yeah, let me jump in real quick and add on to some things that you're saying. I agree with some of them, but there are some things that I can jump in and talk about. I'm a student coach in high school, and now coaching myself, I really look at this move as a locker room move. I see a lot of teams picking up players, but I think this decision is not based off of who's better than who. Personally, I think Christian Wood is better than JaVale McGee. I think a part of this statement is to say we want veterans starting, so we jump out of the gate and have the experience to start the game. But honestly, in my opinion, I don't think it matters who starts the game. In the end of all of this, it's who's going to come in at the end of games and finish games. Obviously, they have a very, very, very deep lineup and a lot of centers that can fill that position. I just think Christian Wood with Luka Doncic is hard to guard, very hard to guard, especially because Luka likes to play screen and roll type basketball. It's either an ISO from Luka or he's calling for a screen and playing 2-on-2.
Yep, that's his game.
And I think Christian Wood is going to benefit from that a lot. I think JaVale McGee will help them on the defensive end for sure, but it's going to come down to who's playing better at the end of games. Obviously, we'll see as the year goes on. There's going to be more situations, and in my opinion, they're a playoff team, so they're just going to have to figure that out as the year goes on. And I think JaVale McGee is a great veteran. I think he's great for their locker room. I think he's coming in with an open mind to how this team's going to play. And who knows, maybe he'll play really well in that position. And maybe he is ready for that position, even though he's just come from a Phoenix team who struggled last year in the playoffs, but was really good the year before that. They made the finals. So I think he has the experience to help them get to the next level of where they want to be at. And I think Jason Kidd is running that program really well. Even though they lost Jalen Brunson this summer, they still got a lot of pieces. And it's going to be very interesting to see the rotation between JaVale and Christian Wood. We don't know minutes-wise. Maybe even though JaVale McGee starts, doesn't mean Christian Wood's going to play less minutes than JaVale McGee. It's about who they're playing and what style of basketball they're playing against.
Exactly. I do want to jump in real quick, and I kind of want to ask you a question. So, as we've seen with the Timberwolves, with Cat and Rudy Gobert, with talking about how you're going to have to face one of them at all times. Do you think that's kind of what we're going to see with the Mavericks this season?
That's a good question. Honestly, to be honest with you, I think Cat and Rudy are way more of threats than JaVale and Christian Wood. Not gonna
Hmm.
lie, but I think they could play tall ball and have one of them play the four. But in this day and age, basketball is more of a guards game, obviously.
Yeah.
And when I look at film, when others look at film, they're probably looking at what can the guard do to be better. But when it looks at bigs, there's so much looking into bigs. If Christian Wood steps on the floor, plays a stretch four, can he put the ball on the ground? Can he get to the rim in two dribbles? Can
Hmm.
he shoot the ball a little bit? And there's so many factors to say, can JaVale or Christian Wood play a stretch four? Because if one of them plays a stretch four, one of them is going to need to shoot. And that's just how the NBA is.
Hmm.
You hit threes, you win games. We'll see if one of them is able to be able to shoot.
Yeah.
Who knows what they've been doing over the summer, and who knows how much better they've gotten.
Yeah.
So you know once they knew that they were put on the same roster and they're ready to go, do you go to your trainer and say, I want to play a stretch four this year, let's work on my shot a little bit?
Hmm.
But that's my thought on it. I think if they do play together, I haven't seen many stats, I haven't looked into it deep enough to say
Yeah.
this, but from the average stats, I know JaVale McGee averaged 7 points last year. From that stat, I don't think he shot the three that much. If he did, he must have not shot it
Probably
well enough.
rare.
But I haven't looked into Christian Wood's stats deep enough to say he's not a great shooter. But I think there is improvement behind the 3-point line if they're gonna want to play together. And you know, to say this, they also have Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleba. I think Maxi Kleba could easily play a stretch four. I think Dwight Powell can shoot the ball well enough to play a stretch four. But
I agree.
it's really the question of who has the mentality of having quick enough feet on defense to play defense against a stretch four,
Hmm.
while also offensively, can they get themselves baskets? Can they play offense?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you said. I do want to add, I also think that obviously it's going to depend a lot on what the other team is showing and who they're throwing out there on the court, and the plays they're running, the type of systems they're running. But I think we're going to see a lot of mix lineups with the Mavs this year. I think maybe early in the season, obviously you're going to have your typical starters, but I think you're going to have maybe a mix of some bench guys, some starters coming in and out. And I think that will be the same, going through the game. I think there's going to be a lot of mixed lineups this season with the Mavs. I think the depth that they have gives them the ability to do this, which not a lot of other teams have, and that is one thing that it takes to win in the playoffs. That is one thing right there, is depth.
And to go off of you, we talked about in our first episode of the full podcast that
Mhm.
you know this whole league is just getting more and more and more deep. Um, which you'll have to go and watch that to the fans out there if you want to hear us talk about that. But I really think that this team is deep, like most teams in the West.
Yeah.
And I think they have so many rotations to get on film, to watch on film during the preseason, so that when it gets to the regular season, they have an idea of their rotations a little bit. And then, you figure it out through an 82 game regular season. You have 82 games to find your way into the playoffs, whether it's the 1 seed or the 8 seed. And hopefully by the playoffs, you have your rotation, you know your guys, and you know how to play.
Yep. I completely agree.
So, that this is a big debate. I know fans out there are excited to hear about this. I think it's an interesting topic to look at. I think we'll see this topic be going around during the preseason a lot, just for this team to see who they're going to be when the regular season starts. And yeah, so thank you all for tuning in and watching, and we'll see you guys next time. So thank you.
Thank you. See you guys next time.